HR 9:30, the same room. Oh, he made it. Just
Oh, then I missed a cookie. Did you see when he came in?
That's all right.
I got my boots on.
Raining.
Yeah. Should have seen me one day coming in. I was pretty grubby.
anyway. Okay, today is Monday, the 6th of October. It is 8:30. I'll call this meeting to order for Land and Water Conservation Committee. This meeting, all the meetings of this committee are open to the public. Proper notice has been posted and given to the media with Wisconsin statutes so that the citizenry may be aware time, place, and agenda of this meeting. Roll call will indicate that all members are present, and you have for your pleasure the agenda.
Motion to.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the agenda as presented. Any other discussion? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion's carried. And then you also have for your pleasure the minutes from September 8th.
Move to approve.
Second.
Any other discussion on the minutes? Call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion's carried. Thank you. Public comment? Nobody in the room. I assume with the federal government,
Yep, we got a big nothing.
she's not even gonna come. No.
If she got caught doing that, she'd be in trouble. So,
I remember that a couple of times in the past where we've had that where the government was shut down and she wasn't on.
Yeah.
Okay, now FSA staff, I might hate to ask, but
they're not working either. So.
They're not working either.
anything to report?
Really?
As far as supervisors, seminars and stuff like that, three of us were able to attend here. Look back here, what dates? Friday, September 19th. It's really interesting place, and the other individuals here can comment too. It's called, I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Flights Farm. It's over there by Coma. Very interesting. The owner, eventually when we went to view the crops and the storage of the potatoes and all that stuff, and I never seen a tomato plant like that in my life.
Was it big?
Well, the circumference has got to be about 5 inches around and goes 22 feet long, and
Crazy.
Was it in a
It's
greenhouse
crazy.
or was it
Yeah.
outside? Okay, okay.
that's ridiculous, utterly ridiculous.
Hydroponic
Yeah.
in a greenhouse.
They lower them manually
Yeah.
and cut them. Pictures of them.
It's all computerized.
That's
The
something.
amount of moisture and everything.
And they're
They
just-
only got like a 10% waste, and it goes into it seeps through the drain and then out into a container that looks like it's in a dog kennel buried in the ground.
Right. And they just use that for what? Compost, whatever, or the,
Well, it's just drainage off that if it gets too much,
right,
it's because it's all computerized.
right.
If it gets too much, it just, I don't know,
Oh my
they must, you would think they would use
Pump it
it.
around again.
I would
They're
think.
beautiful. Look at the lines on those things. So they say how old they are? I mean, how long does one last?
Well, they start them in the spring and
Yeah. It's crazy. I don't know how that vine can grow so much.
So not during the winter they do it?
Oh,
I
they
think
start
said
early in
started them
February.
indoors like in March. or
yeah, they
something.
start them like everybody
February,
else.
February, they call the workers back.
And they're only in a little
God.
pot about 12 inches,
Yeah,
12 by 12.
Yeah.
and here's cucumbers.
And they got a little monitor, a little electrode that goes down each pot.
Yeah. Look at
Unbelievable.
that. Good God. So
And they got pickles that's long.
you see how they deal with pests, insects,
Cucumbers.
how they deal with that?
Oh, yeah.
But they,
Nice.
no, I guess we didn't
Question.
talk about any
The
insects.
only thing they did with the cucumber, with the
Peppers.
um,
Yeah.
tomatoes is
You
that
can control the bugs and the pests.
the bees.
Yeah.
Right.
They don't have any female bees in there, just males.
For
Yeah, that's
pollinating.
right.
For yeah,
That is right.
They have no aphids.
no?
It just makes figure it's in a closed area.
Yeah.
Just- yeah. Very interesting.
And then we went up into the potato warehouse where they had, I think they were all red potatoes, weren't they? Ken?
Yep, all little reds, baby
All little
reds.
one,
Babies, yeah.
babies.
They grade them, they grade two sizes,
Big or small?
yeah,
Do they sell them would they bag them themselves or they sell
they sell 'em.
They've got a
So-
contract with that little potato company.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's,
they go
that's the
into-
forest, yeah, they can. Little potato
A
company.
lot of work, 72 employees.
That's a lot. That's a lot.
Well, and the farm right on the highway on 22 there, the buildings there, I guess I forgot all about that over the years, but I mean, it was in the Appleton
21.
Post, it was in
Farm
the
on
Appleton
20.
Post the other day.
Farmers on 21.
21, I mean. It was in the Post Crescent the other day, it's like, good grief, they have like 1,000 people or people with buses and stuff come in there in the summer.
Yeah, it's very
Place for
interesting.
kids to jump around on. Ken was eating a lot of ice cream.
I had one dish, and I forgot what kind I had.
That's very interesting.
It was very interesting, just super interesting.
You didn't see us on the pig races, did you?
Refrigeration was cold.
Oh.
That was cold.
Yeah, that was
I forgot, was it 38 degrees or 52?
52.
52.
Sounds right.
52. And it's kind of, I never realized you pick potatoes, you being probably in that trade. But when the temperature, the ground gets too hot, they don't dig.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah, we don't.
I never would imagine that.
Why not?
They won't
Because the potatoes are warm and they don't
They're
keep in
not- they're not
storage as
warm.
good, right? I
Yep.
think they like to do it below 70 degrees. Yeah,
I think, what do you say, 52, 58 degrees or something like that, the ground
did-
temperature.
and then they needed to be at like 52 for a couple of weeks so that they heal the scars on them. Yeah.
Yeah, there's two different, I know there was two different ones.
Then
Two
they
di-
take them down to 38 or something.
Yeah,
Because there's where Ken's friendship, what is that? Is that 20, you were talking about they sell the potato, yeah, for a while they don't have any because they said one time, we have to cool them for so long, so we won't have them for another couple weeks. And I thought, well, that's just weird. Now I know why. Oh.
And they raise all different crops too.
Very interesting.
700 head of cattle.
Oh, they went into
750.
beef. They went into beef.
They buy them when they're 700 pounds or something, and they 700 to 900, and they raise them till they get. Well, they like to keep them under a ton, I guess. The price.
You gotta be a wealthy potato farmer to buy feeders now.
It used to be like $5 to get a small calf. Now how much is it now?
Oh,
Well, here.
500? It's a
No,
lot.
I'll tell you what it is. My supervisor, Mr. Hanson, told me the other day, he works for Ken Rowan, or Tom Rowan. And they are breeding a lot of them now for black, because they bring the best price. 2 calves were born. Guy was gonna come the next day to pick them up. How much you think per piece?
500.
Oh, God,
Oh,
not
so-
even close. $1,350.
Were they gonna use it for meat for?
They're gonna raise
So
this,
how do you raise it and feed it and make any profit on that?
don't ask me,
That's crazy.
1,000.
It used to be $5.
But see, they said now, and I checked this with Doug Benke the other day, and they said about 25% of their gross income is coming from beef now,
yeah.
instead of milk, because milk prices are in the
yeah,
tank.
yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
wild world out
Yeah,
there.
it is.
It's crazy. 25 years ago, they were hit them in the
They
head
say they-
and throwing them outside.
yeah.
Yeah.
Farmer brought in a check once with a zero balance because by the time they took off the
Trucking and
trucking and
commission.
everything,
Yeah.
there's nothing left.
I couldn't believe it. 13. Okay.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen, for going to that.
The only sad part is about 30% of those potatoes are rejected by the company. And they're perfectly good. They just might be a little off color or something.
So they go to the food bank then, or will they just go into the bags for the public?
They're probably getting mixed in the feed for those beef cattle.
Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Mhm.
I called them off to the side on, I know we gotta go, on the insurance for they're mostly Mexican.
Right.
Okay, so they go through EMOS for insurance. They're all insured. So and when people say that we're paying it, no. They're automatic, they're insured. What EMOS is, I have no idea. It's EMO, I just wrote down EMOS. I don't know.
Right.
And they're guaranteed a minimum wage.
$20 an hour.
That's minimum wage?
No, 2020.
2020. That's their guaranteed, that much an hour.
And they're guaranteed 30 hours a week.
So they don't pay for insurance out of that, out of their
We don't,
wages?
I didn't ask them that detail, if they have to pay for it towards it. It's some program set up between Mexico and United States on the insurance. I pulled them off to the side,
Yeah,
because I didn't want that in a
I was
conversation.
listening.
I didn't want that in a conversation, because it was quite a group there.
It's interesting.
The interesting part was the inspection. So they'll get unannounced inspections by what they call the white coats from, well, I guess they'd be from immigration or something, but they have to go pull them all out of the field and line them up for an inspection and make sure all their paperwork's right and everything, which it is, or they wouldn't get into the program.
Right.
Right.
And then they have housing inspections as well,
Oh, it's
because
crazy.
they have to provide all the housing.
Yeah, a hole in the screen, they gotta
Pretty
fix it.
regulated.
So they stay year round or they go home the other half of the year?
I think it was just a half a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
April until about now.
Okay, well, anyway, very educational, more than I knew before.
Yeah, it was a pretty good, we've had a couple of pretty good tours in a row here in the last 2 years. All right, moving on, Demo Farms meeting, monthly meeting was not that eventful. I guess what is different now, because that's a USDA funded adventure, we're probably technically not supposed to operate that while they're on shutdown. The problem is, depending on how long they're shut down, we've got some field events coming up that have already been all planned for, so I guess we're gonna have those anyway. We'll have to be a little creative on reporting, I guess, in different dates. All right, moving on to important stuff here. The first thing I have is we get emails from different county conservationists as the year goes on about this time of year, people looking for cost share funds from DATCAP. So the money we get annually from DATCAP, we have to spend it in the given year, or we can contract it over to next year. The problem with contracting it to next year is it can only be used for the people it's contracted for. And if something goes wrong and they don't do the job, or they can't do the job, or they can't afford the job, or who knows what, and we don't spend that money, we get penalized for it in the formula for future money. So that's something we gotta be really careful about. But, so Kewaunee County had put out a note that they were looking for bonding. So we get two types of money in our budget from DATCAP. Bonding is for hard practices. SEG money is for soft practices, which would be mostly nutrient management and cover crops. And up until recent years, when we could use this for cover crops, everybody had leftover SEG. We could always pick up leftover SEG if you wanted that for nutrient management. Bonding was in high demand. Now in the last 2 or 3 years, that's flipped. SEG is in high demand, and bonding, some counties it's high demand, but we have a lot of other grants. We have a lot of other bonding money available for hard projects. So the 60 to 62,000 we get a year from DATCAP isn't all that important to us. It's important because we can use it in any part of the county versus our priority watershed areas that the DNR money is good for. But anyway, I made a deal with Kewaunee because we were looking for more SEG money. We're over contracted in SEG. And when she said she was looking for bonding, I said, well, how much are you looking for? And she said, we'll take anything you can get. They've got a handful of contracts that are unfunded. And I just did our quick math. We've got a lot of that bonding. We've got money left over from last year we're spending yet. So I said, do you have any SEG to trade? I said, I'll give you bonding money if you'll give me SEG back to some degree. So we agreed we're to transfer 22,000 of our bonding to Kewaunee, and she's given us all 15,000 of their SEG. They don't get much SEG. We get 75,000 a year, and we're looking for more. So we're getting 15,000 back from Kewaunee in a trade, as long as you approve that. So this is just the two sheets that Dwayne will have to sign here if we approve this, and then also go to DATCAP this afternoon. So we pick up 15,000 in SEG, we give them 22,000 in bonding.
So that way you don't have to worry about losing part of that 22,000.
Yeah, and we're our hard practices this year, we've got one big job we're doing right now that we'll use bonding for. It's actually in the Pigeon River watershed where we also have DNR money available. But I'd rather save the DNR because there's so many other things we could use it for in the Pigeon watershed besides this particular project. So we'll use a bunch of our bonding up there. Roughly, we had a good 22,000 left that we would have had to look to contract into next year. And I just don't always like to do that because it can go bad on us. So, and then they give us less the following year. It's easier to give it away. So if we're not going to use it.
Make it work one way or another.
So we'd need a motion to transfer 22,000 of bond to Kiwani and accept 15,000 of SEG from Kiwani.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any other comments, questions? Logically, makes sense.
Can we get the other 7,000 somehow?
If they had it to give, I'm sure she would have given it to us, but they only get 15,000. And you ask yourself, why is that? Well, Kiwani is almost all KFOs, and they have to provide a nutrient management plan without cost sharing anyway. So Kiwani just has very little use for that type of funding. So
Yeah, it works
obviously they're
out.
not running big cover crop programs over there yet. So
It's not exactly even trade, but it's pretty close, and you got probably a favor in the bank with them now too.
yeah, and there's just no SEG money to be had out there right now. Everybody's looking for it, nobody's giving it away. So to
Okay.
have trade leverage is a good way to get some.
Any other comments or questions on the question? Call the question. All those in favor of that action signify by saying aye.
I,
Opposed? Hearing none, motion is carried.
All right, bear with me a second here. So I guess the rest of our meeting really revolves around our budget issues this year. The first thing I did in between the September finance meeting and the special October, no, what was it, Dwayne? Yeah, I guess it was October 2nd, right?
It was special.
It was a
finance,
special.
Special finance.
So prior to that, I guess we had discussions at department head and Heidi had said, you know, if anybody can make any alterations to let her know before last week's finance. And, you know, we're roughly 2 million behind in capital improvement budget and roughly 2 million behind in operating. And so I looked at our capital improvement, Dwayne and I talked about it for a little bit, and basically sent Heidi a revised capital improvement that bumped back our two requests. We had another truck for next year and a replacement of one of our Trimble survey units. And I just bumped those back to 2027 if Heidi needed that. Now, from what I've seen that she sent out Friday, I don't know if you guys have looked at all of that, but it does not appear that she's using, I know a number of us, I think zoning did this, I know Parks did some of it. It does not look like she's using this. The capital cuts that she has look like they're all associated to highway and a couple other.
Sheriff's Department.
But anyway, I had submitted that to her. This is not being shared for some reason.
I think between highway and sheriffs, they come up with it on the capital end
There
of
are
it.
some big items. in there.
Yes, right.
I saw Friday, we're still
Yeah, they're-
1 million short.
There's a look on screen of what I sent her if we needed.
No,
Total
Right,
budget,
there we go.
operating.
So, you know, if we needed to make this concession, it's not real hard to bump that stuff back. The Trimble receiver actually hurts a little more than the vehicle because the other one's already been upgraded. So it'd be nice to get them on the same playing field. The truck I'm actually fine with because we've got all of our vehicle fleet like 1 year after another, then we go a whole 5 years without anything and be all right to space those out anyway. But as it stands, I don't think she's using this anyway. I just make you aware of it. Then the paper budget I put in front of you is just some, I went back through our budget and went looking for things that could be changed. Just to get us a little closer to zero. And there are things we can do. If you look at that first page, there's 3 items there that are highlighted orange and yellow. That first item is our income from trim grants, from large scale trim, and it's very easy to bump that up. I can kind of claim what I want to claim on those. The problem is there's 2 of them. We're in year one of them now, and we'll be in year 1 next year. And those are generally 4-year grants. So the 170,000 in those generally needs to be divided out over 4 years. So we, about 40 to 45,000 a year we can take out of those. What I've noticed in our years of trim grants is usually the first year is lower, the second year ramps up a little. The third and fourth years are usually the largest amount of our staffing time. So I tend to pull the money out of them in that manner, but we can do things different if we need the money. So I bumped that up 10,000. On the bottom, I looked at our fees. I'm not super comfortable with doing this, but I think it's likely we'll see a little better trim fees by 5,000. Excuse me. And our farmland preservation income is likely to go up. Ryan and I have been working on the town of Waiawega. They look like everything's going to be set by the end of the year that they'll join farm preservation. And if that's the case, we know there's a number of big farms there, Quantum, Jonley, Jonley's used to be or is now, and a few others that'll take part immediately, which will bump our fees up from what I had originally predicted. So that one should be, as long as farmland pres comes along for Waiawega, that should be a better number for our fees. So that's 20,000 in income. Then if you turn to page 3, the only other thing I can really do with our budget is look at those items in the middle of the page there where you see some highlighted numbers along the right margin. So these are really just areas I think we can cut $1,500 here and there. I don't care to do this. It puts us in a bad position next year. If you read Dave Morak's email from last week, one of the things that he had talked about for next year was to basically freeze 2026 budgets and not letting any department exceed their 2026 budget. The more we skim out of these columns, the worse position that puts us in next year, because we will have to make some cuts if our budget is frozen. If personnel costs go up, if personnel costs are frozen as well, then we should be at 0. But that's always the concern. Personnel costs go up, and we don't have a way to necessarily come up with that income all the time. So it's kind of depending on what you want to do. There was about 7,000 in cuts there. Altogether, if you get down to the very last page, that extra income and those cuts bring us right back to a true 0. Our county levy equal to last year went from 429,412 down to 402,412, and we were at 402,217 in last year's or in the current year budget. So I I don't know what you wanna do with this. I guess my suggestion is it's in our back pocket if you need it tomorrow. It appears Heidi's come up with some other solutions for tomorrow at this point. But I guess I also get the feeling there's some supervisors that would like to do some cutting. But I guess if we need to, we can certainly do this.
I'd be in favor of not taking any action on this right now, just do wait and see.
Yeah, that would be the approach I suggest, but I guess if somebody says that every department ought to come back and get to last year's budget, this is how we do it for us.
Well, do we have to? Do we have to say that we can go ahead and, cause they want to settle this tomorrow. Cause like some of the stuff that's proposed, we're not gonna be able, I disagree on already.
I think we'll wait and see what Heidi's got first. Cause she might have, I stopped in this morning just to see, and I'll pop in again after this meeting and just, if she's had a little more time to work on things and dig through, and so this is just excellent idea to have a plan ready. But if we don't have to and we can let it be what we've already approved, I think that's the way to go. We'll just wait and see what happens tomorrow.
This is not gonna make or break the dam, is what I'm trying to say. It's showing good faith that, yeah, we could live with our last year's budget, even though we got increased for personnel.
That other page I just put out on the table there is, if you had time to read what Heidi sent at about noon on Friday, she sent out a summary of every department's stuff. That's our page. It's about the second or third to last page in her 35-page document there. But that's what I submitted to her last week on the request of wanting to know which of our programs are mandated
Oh, yeah.
and which aren't. And essentially, what statute says is this. Statute mandates you. This committee is mandated by law. You have to exist. You also have to have and implement a county land and water resource management plan, which we have. The problem is the statute doesn't say that I'm mandated or my staff is mandated, but it mandates you to implement that plan. And unless the 7 of you want to come and do my job, I don't know how you do that, right? So essentially we're mandated in the chain like that. And, you know, when you look through the list of, I organize this by budget item, and most of our budget programs are neutral because they're cost share in and cost share out. The only place we're not neutral is in the second line there, the land and water conservation program. You know, we have a budget of about 722,000, and we have about half of that coming in income for staffing. And that's really the bulk of our county levy, is the other half of that budget. So most of these other programs, I mean, we've got a few $1,000s that we dedicate towards the demo farms, and the way Heidi has it in her sheet looks a little odd, but it's really only 5,000 of county levy that goes in there. So.
And you kind of got a little boost from the legislation this year for.
Yeah, it was a good year to get more money from DADCAP, right? And we had a $65,000 boost, if you recall, when we did the original budget 2 years ago. That was extremely helpful in keeping up with the times. So I guess, you know, we're, I guess, maybe a little lucky that we meet today before tomorrow, that we've got some options available if it comes to that. I don't know what tomorrow is going to look like or how long that's going to take. I know, you know, we had a department head meeting late last week, and I think a lot of department heads are pretty concerned about tomorrow.
I just saw some of the ideas floating out there and cutting back on committees, and I don't know how practical that'd be and what is the cost savings. Washington County, they've gone down to 9 supervisors and
11, for 22 to 11, but they still have the same number of committees.
yes.
You're the same
What are
then.
you saving?
gotta have your-
All you're saving is the county board monthly meeting.
And they're not saving that much because all these committee meetings are mandated. Well, then what happens, instead of 27 people to divvy it up, you got 11 and it's turned into almost a full-time job.
You know, and there are some counties that have combined committees like extension, zoning, and land conservation combined. What I hear from my peers is that makes the meetings awful. They're hours long. A particular department's part of that might only be a bit, but you're sort of stuck there because you never know. My suggestion when I see that about going to standing committees, I don't know that that's even statutorily possible because a number of these committees like you here are mandated. You know, you could combine that with a bunch of other committees and just make a big miserable meeting. But I think the better option would be to reduce the number of meetings, right? I mean, we meet monthly and we probably cancel 1 to 2 a year based on vacations and calendars and stuff like that. We could operate with 6 meetings a year instead of 12. We could make that work for this committee. I mean, that to me would be a better option, is just cut your number of meetings in half. Don't reduce committees and start making combined committees that make big, long, miserable meetings. But you know, if we met every other month, or maybe in some cases we'd meet, you know, this time of year when we're doing contracts, I sort of need to meet August, September, October, but we could eliminate, I mean, wouldn't be any problem to go 3 months in the winter without a meeting for the most part. So that would be my suggestion if that really comes up.
Yeah, I know individual from Oconto County, they combined a lot of, said they'd start a meeting at 9 o'clock and they'd have to order in lunch because they
How
went
does
in
that
well
solve
into the
anything?
middle of the afternoon.
No.
Yeah, I know that's what happens, you know, some counties have combined land conservation, zoning, parks departments, and then their committees get combined. And it's the same thing, those meetings are a half a day when they do it, so at a minimum. I don't know about you, but my eyes glaze over at the 2-hour mark in any
Yep.
meeting, so.
Mhm.
Well, and sometimes as individuals, we can focus better on just your particular committee versus trying to mentally get 3 different things together and forget it.
I guess that's really the end of my thoughts on this. I just wanted to have that out there so you guys have some options if we need them.
No, that's fine, that's good, thank you.
Anything we do this year is certainly going to impact next year if we're shooting for a true zero for the 27 budget, so. Now, if wages get frozen, that changes that a lot, because that's where we struggle to meet true zero, but
Well, and you can't do that, that's, you're just gonna
yeah,
lose your good people and,
I see a note on here about suspending steps for 5 years. I mean, to do it 1 year is one thing.
Wow.
5 years is
Ouch.
a pretty bad idea.
no, if you wanna freeze hiring, that's one thing, because
Right
from
on.
the state of Wisconsin, if sales tax keeps going up, we're gonna get some revenue. So it's not gonna be like that, but you gotta freeze then no more hiring. Cause hiring costs money, people are money, I mean, 80% of the budget's money, is people.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is, I don't care what organization. It's like somebody threw out, well, do away with the supervisor's mileage, well, that's ridiculous.
I don't amount
That's
to
under-
diddly on this.
Well, not that, who the heck was wanna run?
Yeah,
You can drive
okay.
from Clinton all the way,
So we've got an empty position and we've got another position, nobody shows up ever.
no,
Yeah.
I mean, why would you wanna run if you're not? That's ridiculous.
There should be no cuts.
But you still have to be self-sufficient.
Right,
So what we do this year has to be enough to help us the next few years down the,
That's,
Yeah,
down the
that
line. We
is
can't
correct.
just, we can't have a quick fix.
no.
We need to fix this.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, and then you probably name in certain departments, you know, like if somebody retires or something, maybe you don't fill
Fill it up.
it. There are options, you know, to,
Yeah, you could spread it out longer instead of making a bunch of, at one.
That's just the government wheels turning slow. If we could have, in hindsight, slowed up on some hiring 6 months ago, we'd be okay by now because it probably hired 15, 20 people in the meantime.
But how did we not know that before? The
Yeah, I know,
departments,
I
how did they
know,
not
I know, right?
this didn't start yesterday.
No,
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 and if we lived with those people beforehand 6 months ago, it's unfortunate, but can we continue on without those positions?
it's a good way to find
And
out.
it's a good point because part of society's biggest problem is mental health. We don't want to do away with, create another problem,
it's goes through the whole,
whole thing.
every department,
Yeah.
same method.
The thing is, our county isn't growing in population,
It's not.
actually going backwards a little.
And
And
there's a little plus, there's so many over 75.
yeah,
It's really.
fixed income and
We were, population 10 years ago, we were 53,000.
That's somebody that.
That's what it is. I thought it was, we're down to 53.
We were 53,000. I don't have my phone, I looked it
2
up.
years ago.
now it's
We're like 60.
51 something,
52 something.
52.
And then poverty went up 2%.
Now it just all went down.
Yeah, I feel
Well,
like.
and the average age is creeping up.
Well, yes, I agree.
Yeah.
You don't, if you don't have, if the poverty's up, we aren't gonna get it on sales tax.
And slightly more people are on social security, and social security has historically been stingy on cost of living.
Are we getting out of
This is-
whack here? Do we?
Yeah.
We're off the
Okay,
subject.
all right.
We gotta get back on.
Yeah.
We'll finish up our meeting.
All right, moving on to contracts, I have, three contracts in the Pigeon for cover crops. Two of those are Shawano County Farms, because we're now on a cross-county line project. We've got 19 acres of cover crops for Rose Thorn Ranch, 178 for Hinces, 35 acres for Damrow Farms in Shawano, and 40 for Larry Wisniewski. And we have a hard practice contract for diversions. That's part of a notice of discharge from DNR for April and Tyler Krieger. So those would need approval. That's a $35,000 contract.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any other discussion? Jamro, that's in Shawano County.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we've
said
got
2
two Shawnos, yeah. The Pigeon River project, about a third of that's in Shawano County, so they can participate.
Okay.
We do the contracting, because reimbursement comes through us.
Any other discussion on it? Otherwise, I'll call the question. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion's carried.
All right, other updates, we haven't had much for recent complaints, but DNR, our non-point coordinator, Casey, has been fairly active, looking at farms in our county. There'll probably be a couple of new notice of discharges coming, certainly the old Denny Smith farm that now on Highway 54. As soon as she meets with those folks, I'm guessing there'll be something coming there. That's Jeff LeMay is the owner there. And then, like I said, we're finishing up the work on Krieger's. That was a notice of discharge as well. You know,
So that Jeff LeMay, did he participate or he doesn't participate with us at all? That's the problem kind of.
yeah, and he's got a really big dry lot there with a fair amount of cattle on. The runoff all
Oh, it's-
runs into a intermittent stream.
Right,
It's
Dry lot?
It's a wet
Yeah.
lot.
sometimes a
Well,
wet
it was
lot.
dry a little bit now.
okay, last week, yeah.
But, and then, you know, to the land next door that the runoff gets into has changed hands recently. I think that landowner is more upset about what's going on there, which exacerbates the problem. And the receiving water there is also on a, in a wetland reserve contract with USDA, so a permanent easement. That's really about it for me.
Okay, anything else before we adjourn?
Oh, did you guys see that, that corn maze that was made into a Lego?
Oh,
Like a ginormous Lego, and they said that somehow they, I don't know if this is true, because I'm not a farmer, but when a tractor plants the corn, there's like a computer system which can shut off like when it's planted and then when they turn it on. Is that how it goes?
It can,
Oh, cause they said that it was all put into the computer system and it's a ginormous Lego like formation and it looked really cool from the sky. They showed a picture of it.
So where's that?
I don't know, I forget. Somewhere in Wisconsin. I
Okay,
don't know.
okay.
It wasn't too far. I looked it up. It was like 2 hours from here, I think.
is there a motion?
Motion
Adjourn?
to adjourn.
Do you wanna set a next meeting for?
Oh, yeah.
You have,
I would say go to December. I'm on vacation really close to our next normal meeting.
first Monday in December,
Yeah, that'd be the first.
1st of December, no November meeting. 1st of December.
Sounds like a plan. Okay,
We are adjourned.
still motion to adjourn.
Cabbage all off, Greg?
We filled our contract last week, but they're letting us bring more in, so that's what I was doing today.
I was wondering how that was